Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. Remember that little song we used to sing as kids? When you're up, and when you're down, and when you're only halfway up, you're neither up nor down. Well, we got some rain, but only a sliver of an eighth of an inch in the gauge, so we're kind of up and down. But I looked around and my little plants were happy. They were like, oh, it got cooler out here. So their happiness brought me up, at least halfway up. So I'm fixing to turn the water on, which will take the fresh right out of these beautiful blooms. So I wanted to get just a few of them on here before I end up ruining them with the water. This little grouping right here was the one I definitely wanted on here. Looking so good this morning. Isn't it strange how the things that make us better also end up hurting us, because these need some water, and I will water them, but once the water gets on them, of course it's going to take their freshness right away. I heard of reports of 1.5 inches of rain in town, but actually this is what we got, not quite 1/8 of an inch. But even so, it was refreshing, even though the temperature didn't go down very much. It's amazing what just a few degrees can make in the summertime. The plants loved it. They perked up for me. I perked up a little bit. I perked up once when I was able to finally find some telescoping sprinklers. But then my telescoping sprinkler heads just stopped up with grit before it would do any good at all. And trying to deal with a sprinkler that won't work out in heat that's just making you seemingly melt with sweat is not a fun thing. It's such a frustrating thing. But we did actually find some more sprinkler tops that would fit in the telescoping part that I had already found. So these sprinkler heads seem to maybe work better for me. I'm really not sure yet. I get my hopes up and then get them dashed pretty easily. But at least I have hope for the moment, and I'm hoping truly that my sprinkler heads will work and will help me be able to keep the garden looking at least alive until we can get some nice fall weather that cools us off a bit. I noticed that my little maple tree back here is not looking as bright red as it used to be, but I'm still hoping that it'll be all right. I hope it'll do more than all right. I hope it'll be gorgeous one day. My picnic table is still right here. But we had a couple of friends from our church that said they would help us with this. And so my husband actually did this yesterday for me and fixed me a little concrete slab for it to be put back on, and hopefully it won't fall off again. These little flowering onions, allium, are blooming today. I think they're a little spot of refreshing for the summer garden and takes you back to the spring season just a little bit, at least in your mind. Just look at this beautiful little strawberry fields, this pretty pink strawberry fields. It made such a big little plant. How pretty is that? And it looks like all of the daylilies are gone off of this one except for this very last one. This is a favorite of mine, and I loved it when my blue balloon flower was growing up right beside it, and the colors played off of each other. I did put some of that black and blue salvia over here too, so maybe when it gets to really blooming pretty, they will play off of each other in color too. I'm not sure, because this one is just now beginning to really bloom and this one is going away, so you have to find something that blooms at the same time to really pair them up well. This little trailing vinca or periwinkle is doing great too. And then this one, I'm not sure, I thought this one was a trailing, so I put it right there in front of her, and I think it may just be a standard one that won't, that's going to end up covering her face up and may not do there. I may have to take that one out, but I'm going to wait a while and see. So there's still some of the pretty daylilies left, but they are finishing off in lots of places. Look, this is the one that I told you, it's semi-double and it has a huge bloom, and it's just so pretty. So I'm glad I got to show you that one. I was afraid all the blooms were gone after I told you that I would show you one. And I did plant a few more seeds, mostly zinnia seeds, a few others, but mostly zinnias, or zinnias, however you say that. We always call them zinnias, so that's what I usually call them. But there's a spot right here I put some seed in, and I know it may not come up. There were several spots that I had already planted in before, but they didn't sprout for me, but they may this time or they may not. But at least I've done my part, and now we'll just see what's going to happen. I need to come out and get some of these yarrow heads off of here, and they may put on some more for us this fall. I can't quite get over how this little pot filled out, and it looked so scraggly. I wasn't sure it would fill out. I was going to put some other things in here, but once the purslane moss begin to bloom, and then the periwinkle too, and then that pretty Dusty Miller that actually came back from last year, it just filled it out beautifully. I love this little pot. I think this may be my favorite petunia. It's just a very pale double pink, but it just does so wonderfully for me. Here's some more that probably will open all the way up soon, and it just makes such a pretty little showing. A little bit of the clematis is still trying to bloom. And I did put a few more seeds in these little pots. They still look a little scraggly. I may have to go ahead and just put some succulents in these pots, but sometimes they do fairly well. You can see some of the plants are doing well in them, but they just struggle. So I think maybe I'll try to figure out a succulent arrangement to put in these next year. Maybe, I'm not sure yet. Oh, this morning this verbascum is just showing you how pretty it can be. A pretty peppermint lace crepe myrtle. See, one of my cannas is blooming, and my granddaughter said hers are really going to town, so I'm glad they're doing well for her. Also wanted to show you that our little rose is coming back from its drastic haircut and looking good. And look at this. This is a gladiola. It actually is growing from the ground, not out of the pot, because it looks like it's just growing right out of this little pot. And it's about gone now, but look how tall it got. And this little pot is looking as pretty as I thought it would in my dreams. I just love that trailing periwinkle flowing over the sides of the pot. There's the pretty white swirling Gara, and there's a little bouquet of tall phlox right there in front of it, looking good this morning. And my impatiens are beginning to spill over just a little bit so you can see them around this little girl. I've been kind of waiting for that because I know it's going to make it so much fuller and prettier when they do. And I think these will get even bigger still and cover up more of the pot and have more bloom. But I'm happy with it even just right like it is. And out there is my sprinkler, which is going right at the moment, so I'm going to hope that it will keep working for me and not stop up with those granules of, I guess, sand. They're just like little grains, though, so, and it does totally stop those other ones up, but this one has a wider opening, so hopefully it'll keep going for me and it will keep the garden watered. Look at this peacock strutting its stuff with the aid of the variegated red hibiscus, which hasn't bloomed yet, but oh my, isn't that foliage looking great, especially compared to how it looked when I first brought it outside from being inside my home. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And I hope that Garden Scroll brings you at least halfway up. I hope that at least part of the time it brings you all the way up.